Greetings, welcome back to CS133, Practical Programming with Python. This is week 2. We're on the practice for the loops, and like always, make sure you pause when you need to pause. Some of these are going to make you need to think a little bit harder, so again, try to do the best you can, and then we'll go over it. So reminder, pause when you need to pause. Let's go ahead and go through this. Let's make it so you can see it. Create a variable, integer. It's going to be a number, and we're going to set it to a number that's greater than 5 but less than 10. So we can create a variable, my num. That's it. We created a variable. We're going to set it, so we add the equal sign, and then I'm going to 7 because that is between those numbers. Now we're going to create a while statement that prints the variable, so my num, while each iteration, while the number is less than 20. So while my num is less than 20, colon, enter, it automatically indents for us. And now we need to make my num go up, right? So we can do this one of two ways. It first tells us to print, so print my num, and then we're going to make it go up. And this is what was implied with how this iteration works. If we run this right now, it's going to say 7 forever. So we need to my num, hit caps lock, my num plus equals 1. So this is essentially the same as saying my num equals my num plus 1. Right? This is the same thing as this. So when it's 7, it'll be 8, then it'll go again. 8 plus 1 is 9, and so on and so forth. But we're going to do it just like this. Let's go ahead and run it. And now it starts at 7, and it goes up until 20. That's practice 1. Again, if you ever have stuff in there, make sure to click reset. Sometimes it does that. Just click reset to get out of that. Set a variable to accept input by prompting the user to enter a number. Create another variable to convert the first variable into an integer and set it to the second variable. Sounds like a lot. It's really not that bad. We're going to go ahead and create a variable. Again, the set a variable, that whole create thing is implied in this, so we'll call this one user input. I'm not calling it user num yet because remember, it's not actually a num at this point. Input, enter a number. Now, again, you can in theory turn this to an integer right at that point, but we're going to do this extra step because that's what the directions say. So now I'm going to call it user num, and then int user input. All right, so remember, input is always a string, so we get that. We're going to take it and put it in here, so it turns it to an integer, and now we can actually use it. Now, to loop that many times, we just do for I in range, parenthesis, and then we go ahead and put in user num, because that one's actually a number, otherwise it would break. And then it just wants us to print I for this. Enter a number. Let's do 12, enter, and then again it starts at 0. When you only have one number, even if it's a variable, it starts at 0 and goes up to that number. So that's why it stops at 11. But that's still 12 times. From 0 to 11 executes 12 times. All right, very last one. This is what it's going to look like, or what we've kind of done with some of the examples of quit. But this time we're going to make it, they have to type go in order to go. So string variable, to create a variable, we just go ahead and type it in here. Keep going equals go. And you can call that variable whatever you want. Just is going to make it keep going. And if it's go, it's going to keep going. So while keep going equals go, which is true, oops, wrong colon, because we just set it to go, right? We just set it to go. Now we ask for the input, so keep going. That's our string, or our variable, or string variable. We're going to get the user input. Luckily, user inputs are always strings, so keep going, question mark, which is why I called that variable keep going. So if they type go, it's going to keep going as long as they type it, right? So in the while statement, ask user to type go as long as they want to. So, I mean, you could write that type go to keep going. If they stop typing go, the program will stop. So I don't really need to add anything after that. I could put a print statement back outside of it saying program done. Let's just do that because we can. So you don't actually need to do this. Print, run it, keep going, yes. Well, that didn't last very long. Let's run it again. Keep going, go. And of course it wants to do that. So going, go, go, go. So as long as I type go, the program keeps going. If I type anything else, it stops. And that is a while statement. Again, you have to initialize it, give it that ability to stop, and then have something in there to get to that ability to stop. That's all there really is for while loops, for loops, for good practice. Don't forget to go do all your research and activities, and we'll see you next lesson.